Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have exoplanets. One of the first things spoken about in the 12-minute long anonymous video is that around 25 years ago, we didn't know that planets existed outside of our solar system. While that seems hard to believe, that is actually basically true, keeping in mind that this video was released in 2017. The first exoplanets, which are what planets outside of our solar system are called, were discovered in 1992, which is super recently. The video then goes on to explain that today we have found over 3,400 exoplanets that orbit other suns. This may seem redundant or unimportant, but this is a really important part of our search for alien life. With the vastness of space, there are so many places that need to be searched, so we have to find some place to start, and these planets are the perfect place. It is entirely possible that alien life may thrive off of entirely different things than life as we know it. The things we need to survive might be detrimental to alien life, but how are we supposed to know that when we don't know any aliens? This is why we started our search by looking for places with conditions similar to Earth, which we now call habitable planets. Part of a habitable planet's requirements is that they are orbiting a star, but that they aren't too close or too far from it like we are with the sun. So what the video is trying to get across is that while 25 years ago we didn't know any, we now know of thousands of planets that might be holding some kind of alien life. While we haven't found the proof yet, we at least have a pretty stellar starting point. In our number 9 spot today, we have Dr. Brian O'Leary. One thing Anonymous mentioned in the video was an apparent quote from Dr. Brian O'Leary, who's a former NASA astronaut and Princeton physics professor. The video stated that he said that there is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been monitoring us for a very long time, and that their appearance is bizarre from any type of traditional materialistic Western point of view, and that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness, they use droids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems, which seems to be a common denominator of the UFO phenomenon. I obviously have no idea how I could possibly substantiate these claims, but they certainly are interesting regardless of what you personally believe. This could of course just be nonsense in order to stir up the masses, but it could also be someone who's finally telling us the truth, but we're all just too skeptical at this point to believe it. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of what Dr. O'Leary said. Do you think it's a hunk of baloney, or do you think that he just might be telling the truth? In our number 8 spot today, we have the FBI documents. Around the halfway mark, the person in the anonymous video begins to discuss some sort of FBI documents that are apparently unclassified, just sitting there on the website. The video claims that the documents suggest that we've not only been visited by aliens from space, but also beings from other dimensions. The video does explain that the document didn't originate from within the FBI, but rather from a university department head, but that the FBI treated the document with the utmost importance, which is certainly interesting. It's also very important to note, however, that this document was sent in 1947. I'm not sure if that makes the claims more or less likely or credible, but the timing of it definitely seems important, at least to me. While this is one of those things that you have to draw your own conclusions from, in the video it is mentioned that while we are arguing whether or not supposed UFO or alien sightings have really taken place here on Earth or in space, there are real instances of extraterrestrial beings visiting us, but we're just too focused on the debate to open our eyes and see for ourselves. In our number 7 spot today, we have esoteric matters. After the discussion of the FBI documents, there is a claim that these beings that have apparently been visiting us are coming not from a planet as we think of it, but rather some sort of etheric planet that interpenetrates with our own, but that we are unable to perceive. Apparently, if you're a student of esoteric matters, these concepts will make a lot more sense to you, or so this anonymous video claims. Apparently, these alien beings are able to make a conscious decision to enter our plane, and in that same respect, they're also to make a decision to disappear from our view. Apparently, they're visiting us as they are thinking about settling here on our plane, and that they are coming here peacefully. During these visits, they are also said to have technology that would destroy any sort of attack made on them, so it is advised that if they do make themselves visible to us, we do not attack or make them feel threatened. I'm not so sure about this one, but at the end of the day, I am certainly no student of esoteric matters, so maybe it's just something that my brain cannot comprehend with the knowledge I currently have. In our number 6 spot today, we have this UFO footage. This UFO footage is coming from another anonymous video which claims that real UFO footage is always censored and that this video has been previously censored, but they were here to expose the truth. It is unclear where this UFO video was taken, and at the end of the day, I'm no expert in debunking these things, so it's tough to say whether or not it's real, but let's all just take a look and you can judge for yourselves. I know that wasn't the most exciting video, but what do we think aliens are going to be doing if they really are visiting us? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this video is really showing some sort of UFO? And if you do you think it's aliens or just some sort of secret project that we aren't privy to? In our number 5 spot today we have Perseverance. A point that was made in the video is something that we are actually now watching happen in real time, and that is the mission to Mars for the Perseverance rover that is currently there digging around in the soil. The video stated that Mars may hold signs of an ancient environment that may have been favorable to microbial life. Well, that is exactly true, and the reason the rover is there at all. The Perseverance rover launched from Earth on July 30th, 2020 and made an incredible and successful landing on Mars on February 18th, 2021. While the rover has provided us with some incredible high-definition photos of the red planet which truly are incredible to look at, its main objective is to dig around and search for ancient signs of life, collecting rock and soil samples for a possible return to Earth for further research. While Mars' thin atmosphere is unable to shield the planet from the high amounts of radiation coming from space now, it is thought that the atmosphere did once act as a better shield, and that the environment of Mars may have once been a great host for life, which is exactly why this mission is so important. While when the anonymous video was first released, we were still a ways away from the Perseverance mission taking place, it's really cool to see how it has come to fruition, and it's exciting to see the new photos and discoveries that are made each day. In our number 4 spot today we have UFO footage part 2. We have to include just one more video of what is claimed to be proof of aliens visiting us on Earth before we get back into the more sciencey top 3 points. This is another video that was uploaded by a member of Anonymous, and it comes from 2017. The video features a dark sky, but it shows what looks like some sort of aircraft with a few flashing lights, and it seems like it is able to basically just hover there. Not long after the video starts, another mysterious UFO seemingly joins the first one, and the two are just seen floating there. What do you guys think these could be? I obviously don't know what an alien aircraft would look like, so it's tough to say if this is a realistic example or not. All I know is that if this isn't someone playing a trick and they really saw this in the sky, I have no other possible explanations of what it could be. In our number 3 spot today we have TRAPPIST-1. Before I dive into this one guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far. One of the things Anonymous mentioned in the video was a nearby star called TRAPPIST-1. The video didn't go into too much detail about this, but I'm here to do that now so we can all know what they were talking about. While TRAPPIST-1 is a star, the revelation that the video spoke about was that this star has an entire solar system of Earth-like planets. This discovery first came in 2017, and upon further research, in 2018 it was revealed that some of the planets just may harbor even more water than Earth does. Some of the planets are a little too close to the star, so the water is more atmospheric water vapor. The ones in the middle have liquid water, like us, and the furthest ones have ice. TRAPPIST-1 is now the most thoroughly known planetary system apart from ours, which is kinda cool. While the Anonymous video made it seem like there was a full-blown advanced alien civilization living in this solar system, there still might be potential for some form of microbial life that we just haven't quite found yet. And that is very cool. In our number 2 spot today we have ENCELADUS. If you had heard of ENCELADUS before the Anonymous video, there's a good chance you knew it as basically an icy snowball floating around in space, or perhaps you simply knew it as a small moon of Saturn with a diameter of 502 kilometers, but as it turns out, this small moon might hold some pretty amazing potential. It was discovered that this moon has hydrothermal processes going on underneath its crust. To us non-scientists that means next to nothing, but what if I said that means that it just just might have all of the requirements for life, and that it is becoming a greater possibility that we might find microbial life there. Basically, this moon has an icy shell for a surface and then a rocky interior, but between those two layers is a warm ocean, and this ocean is where scientists think the life is most likely to be. This discovery came almost accidentally when the Cassini orbiter arrived to Saturn in 2005, and it found water plumes shooting out of the cracks in the surface of the moon, which made scientists realize that it just may be geologically active. Through more research and by flying the orbiter through the water, by the time 2015 rolled around, scientists knew that it was holding all of the keys to life. While this little moon was never the original focus of research, it quickly took over with its incredibly exciting potential. In our number 1 spot today we have Europa. We've got another moon to talk about that was mentioned in the video that also just might be holding the keys to us finding alien life, but this time we're taking it over to Jupiter and its icy moon Europa. Europa has been a point of interest for a while after NASA's Galileo Jupiter probe in the 1990s revealed an unusually warm spot in Europa's cold surface. In March of 2014, the Hubble telescope detected what scientists thought might be a plume of water vapor, but the caution turned to cautious excitement and optimism in February of 2016 when the telescope caught another, much larger plume in the same spot. This has led to the creation of the Europa Clipper mission. While this mission doesn't yet have a set date, it will see an orbiter flying to Europa to fly through these plumes in an attempt to see what they are made out of, similar to the one we just talked about, to see if it really is holding the key to life, or maybe even life itself. One of the scientists on the Clipper mission, Robert Pappalardo, explained that if there is life on Europa, it almost certainly was completely independent from the origin of life on Earth. That would mean the origin of life must be pretty easy throughout the galaxy and beyond.
That's right, starting us off at number 10, and probably the most obvious one, is the pyramids. Just outside of Cairo in Giza, you will find some of Earth's most amazing and famous pyramids. They were apparently built more than 4,500 years ago and are actually monumental tombs of ancient queens and pharaohs. But how did human beings build these massive structures with limited technology? Answer: maybe they didn't. Maybe the aliens did. The Great Pyramid is made up of millions of precisely hewn stones, and they weigh at least 2 tons each. This, along with the idea that 3 of the Great Pyramids line up with Orion's belt in the night sky, lead many to believe that the pyramids are actually of alien creation. Now, scientists and historians actually have a pretty good idea of how thousands of human hands could have helped create these magnificent structures, but nothing has been set in stone. So, did the aliens build the pyramids, or did we just not give the ancient Egyptians enough credit? Who knows?
In our 9th spot today we have the tombs. Now this one is more on the crazier side. The theory comes from the show Ancient Aliens, which is questionable but also really addicting. Anyways, ancient astronaut theorists believe that the ancient Egyptian tombs weren't just built for burial purposes. No, they were actually instructed by the aliens on how to create these tombs. If you look at old texts from back then, they talk about how they received knowledge to build tombs from the gods. Now, it's believed that the gods they worshipped were actually aliens, so there's that. Aliens told them how to build the tombs, but why? Well, they believe that this is because the tombs were a way for the Egyptians to get to the afterlife and reunite with extraterrestrials. Egyptians believed that the tombs were gateways to the afterlife. That's why they put so much time and detail into them, and they were so lavish and intricate. In the end, they would use the tomb to reunite with aliens. In fact, ancient astronaut theorists believe that our physical life is not our only life, but it's actually preparing us for another life after this one that's even greater and with extraterrestrial beings.
Coming in at number 8, we have the ABYDOS hieroglyphics. Now this is either a sign of time travel, or it's a sign of aliens, or maybe it's even a sign of time traveling aliens. On an Egyptian temple wall in Abydos, there are hieroglyphics of what appear to be futuristic aircraft, such as a helicopter and a spaceship. This specific piece is dated to be from 3,000 years ago, and I think it's pretty safe to say that there were no aircrafts that were human-made at that point. Dr. Ruth Hoover and her husband were the ones to discover these amazing hieroglyphics, and they were shocked that they not only discovered them, but they also discovered them behind a wall panel that they had to break down in order to reveal the entire piece. Now, why was it hidden? Who's hiding it? Is it the aliens, or is it our human government official friends who are doing their best to conceal the secret? All we know for sure is that these markings that are there are 3,000 years old, and no human at that time had access to such vehicles that we know of.
Moving on to number 7, we have the Sphinx. So Dewey already talked about how everyone believes about the pyramids being made by aliens. Well, what about the Sphinx? Don't worry, they believe the Sphinx was created by aliens as well. I mean, how is it that they managed to create such a tall and intricate structure when they didn't have any modern day building equipment? It's quite bizarre. But that's not even the weirdest part. Back in 2018, satellite photos on Mars revealed something really freaking freaky. It appeared as if there was a Sphinx similar to the one in Egypt on Mars. That's right, you heard me correctly. The rock formation that was seen in the images eerily resembled the 200-foot tall Sphinx statue. So could it be that aliens built the one on Mars and the one in Egypt? Dun, dun, dun.
Coming in at our number 6 spot, we have hieroglyphics on Mars. Okay, so this one isn't exactly found in Egypt, but it does have a tie to Egypt. NASA recently retrieved tons of new photos from the red planet Mars taken by its Curiosity rover. When the pictures came back, many noticed these awfully strange markings on the side of a rock. The markings being rather similar to the ancient hieroglyphics that are found in Egypt. According to many alien researchers and conspiracy theorists, this is proof that the aliens had been on Earth, especially in ancient Egypt, and that they also may have come from Mars. But scientists aren't exactly on board with this theory yet. Many believe the photo to be manipulated into having the markings on the stone, and others just think that they could be strange markings that, just aren't explainable. In the end, the only thing close to life on Mars that has been found so far is water below the planet's surface. So while that gives the possibility and opportunity for life, we still don't have any hard proof. But if these markings did turn out to be real, no one would give a heck about Martian water.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the sun god Aten. Back in the day, ancient Egyptians were known as polytheistic, meaning they believed in multiple gods. That was until one day Pharaoh Akhenaten was literally like, nah, we only need to worship one god and one god only. And that was the sun god. Which makes us wonder, why would Akhenaten come out of nowhere and declare this? What changed his mind? What made him believe that the sun god was the only god out there? Well, the answer might lie in the depiction of that god. Aten is depicted as a disc in the sky. Isn't that strange? What else do we know that is a disc that flies through the sky? UFOs/aliens and their spacecrafts. So theory goes that Akhenaten was greeted by this flying saucer one night and his entire view about gods changed. The aliens might have given him a message telling him that they are the only god out there and they should bow down to them. So he did as he was told to do and got everyone to worship this flying disc, aka the aliens.
Coming in at our number 4 spot, we have an Egyptian pictograph of a caped alien. This pictograph from 400 BCE pictures a man offering up some type of large fowl to what seems to be a caped alien. No one has been able to prove exactly what is being depicted here or why, but one thing to pay close attention to is the eyes. Don't those eyes look like the stereotypical ones we know from all of our alien movies, stories, and media? Yeah, they do. Without primary sources to tell us what exactly is going on here, this is a hard one not only to debunk, but even also to prove. I do really enjoy that it has the famous alien eyes though, because when I dive into the alien topic, I always try to have a healthy amount of skepticism, but I do also look for the common denominators, and those eyes are definitely common in pretty much any alien media out there. So, I don't know man, but it seems cool to me.
In our 3rd spot, we have Akhenaten's elongated skull. So I just finished talking about how Akhenaten might have been in contact with aliens, right? Well, turns out that he might have been an alien himself. People came to this conclusion after looking at depictions of him. So in all of his depictions, he is seen with an elongated face and head, a long neck, small ribs, and a protruding belly. While all the other pharaohs were drawn to look majestic and muscular. Why was he the only one depicted as so? This means that the carvings must have been an accurate representation of what he looked like. So people were like, wow, he has a lot of alien type characteristics, maybe he is one. Whereas others believe he suffered from a genetic disorder that caused his body to grow as so. But you decide what you want to believe.
And coming in at number 2, we have Elon Musk. If Elon Musk says it, then it must be true, right? Back in 2020, Elon Musk famously tweeted, Aliens built the pyramids, obvi, and this, needless to say, caused a huge stir. Shortly after the tweet was sent out, Egypt's Minister of International Cooperation responded to Musk's tweet with an invitation to actually visit the pyramids and the tombs so that they could prove to him that the ancient Egyptians did indeed build them with no help from our alien friends. Many others went on to reply to Elon Musk's tweet, including Dr. Zahi Hawass and Dr. Sarah Parcak, and I don't think they took it as lighthearted as the minister did. Parcak replied with, "Egyptologist here, Elon, who works on a royal pyramid site. They did not. Ancient Egyptians did. Plus we have the papyrus that are like live tweets of pyramid construction at Giza. Happy to share resources so you can get yourself educated." Ooh, yeah, so while I think Elon is a very smart guy, I would actually have to be more inclined to listen to him after he takes them up on his trip to the pyramids. If he is still saying the same thing after that, then hey, you know what, maybe he's onto something. But until then, maybe just put away the phone there, Mr. Elon.
And in our number one spot today, we have King Tut's dagger. Upon excavating the tomb of King Tut, scientists discovered a long 34-centimeter dagger wrapped up with King Tut. It has since been given the name King Tut's dagger. How original. Now back in the day, they didn't have the capability to study the dagger without damaging it, so it wasn't touched until 1970. When an x-ray was done on the dagger, it was revealed that it was made out of some interesting compounds, primarily nickel and iron. Here's the interesting part. How could it have been composed of iron when his burial predated Egypt's Iron Age by nearly 2,000 years? So that right there is shocking. As a result of the iron and nickel composition, scientists have declared that it was made from extraterrestrial metal. Now, there are two theories here. One is that a meteorite crashed down and they used that to make the dagger. Theory 2 is that the dagger was made by aliens and dropped or left by them accidentally, or maybe even given to King Tut as a gift.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have meteorite ALH 84001. In 1984, there was the discovery of a meteorite that had landed in Antarctica. This meteorite was a piece of Martian rock that had been blasted off of the surface of the red planet after some sort of collision, and it wandered the solar system for a cool 15 million years before it came hurtling down to Earth to be discovered by scientists. This is already pretty cool, but what's cooler is that in 1996, NASA scientists announced that they had found what appeared to be fossilized microbes in the rock. Analysis of the rock showed that it contained organic molecules and tiny specks of mineral magnetite, which can sometimes be found in the bacteria here on Earth. It was also said that underneath an electron microscope, the scientists found signs of nanobacteria. This piece of evidence has been quite controversial, with some scientists bringing up alternative to these key pieces of evidence. Some experts have argued that the magnetite wasn't actually similar to those found in Earth bacteria, and that the organic molecules were just contaminants from Earth, which is a fair argument. At the end of the day, we aren't exactly sure if this is proof or not, but the good news is that the Perseverance rover on Mars might finally be able to give us the answers to these questions. In our number 9 spot today, we have Dr. Richard Hoover. For around 2 decades, Dr. Richard Hoover has been studying meteorites that were found in Antarctica, and in 2011 he claimed that he and his team had found evidence of ancient bacteria from colonies that thrived on comets, moons, and other planets. The astrobiologist said that they were able to make this discovery through the use of the most advanced microscanning technology in the entire world. Dr. Hoover sliced open these meteorites and discovered what they called remains of cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. This type of algae is said to have a unique quality and the ability to thrive even in some of the most harshest conditions, which is necessary when talking about surviving the extreme environment some other planets hold, as well as just space in general. Dr. Hoover said that while some of the bacteria he had found was similar to those on Earth, he said that some of the others were completely alien. He said, quote, "Neither I nor other experts who have seen the evidence have any idea what these creatures might be. I do believe these findings indicate that life is not restricted to Earth, but is broadly distributed, even outside our solar system," end quote. In our number 8 spot today, we have a fossil graveyard. In July of this year, in the Cotswold region of the UK beneath a limestone quarry, researchers made a fascinating discovery. Paleontologists uncovered a huge fossil graveyard of squiggly alien-like Jurassic-era creatures. Like, What? These fossils included tens of thousands of these marine invertebrates, and they were all preserved at different stages in their life cycle. Talk about a scientific jackpot. It appeared as though these creatures lived at a time when they were absolutely thriving until something happened. It isn't clear exactly what this event was, but perhaps it was some sort of mudslide that was triggered by an earthquake, but either way it ended up suffocating and entombing all of these creatures for 167 million years until they could be found by these paleontologists. I know these were clearly Earth creatures and not actually aliens, but these distant relatives of the creatures that currently exist on Earth truly do seem like aliens to us now. In our number 7 spot today we have a fossil monster. These fossils pertaining to one particular creature have only been found in one spot, and that is in the Mason Creek fossil beds of Illinois. Here they have found the fossils of an animal called Tulamonstrum gregarium, or simply the Tully monster. This animal is said to have lived 300 million years ago in the shallow waters that covered Illinois. What is so unique about these fossils from this creature, other than the fact that it lived 300 million years ago, which is wild, is that attempts at classifying this creature have been highly controversial. Interpretations of this fossil have been likened to mollusks, arthropods, conodonts, worms, and vertebrates. It is super weird that this creature with fossils located in only one place from 300 million years ago is super hard to classify because it has a bunch of different tributes that could be placed in a number of different animal classes. I'm not saying it's an alien, I'm just saying it's a little mysterious. In our number 6 spot today we have Curiosity. NASA's Curiosity rover is one of the rovers sent to Mars to explore the red planet we want to know so much about. Curiosity has taken photos that have been extremely helpful to the scientists here on Earth, but some of those photos are more intriguing than others when it comes to the search for alien life. One batch of these photos, when looked at by researcher Barry de Gregorio, piqued his interest. He explained that the objects in the photos looked extremely similar to the Ordovician trace fossils he had studied and photographed here on Earth. He went on to ask the question, if not trace fossils, what other geological explanations could NASA come up with? These stick-like features he is talking about were first spotted in black and white photos taken by Curiosity, and they were so interesting that they sent the rover back to take a second look. What do you guys think? Do you think we'll one day find life on Mars, or do you think it is hiding somewhere else in the universe? Let me know down below in the comments. Maybe we'll be the one to find aliens. In our number 5 spot today we have the Gale crater. The Gale crater on Mars has been the focus of study for a long time, as it is believed that this crater once held water. Many scientists have speculated that this may be a location that did and possibly still could hold a watery environment conducive to life. Over 3,000 photographs taken by NASA's Curiosity rover were examined by a team of 14 experts in astrobiology, astrophysics, biophysics, geobiology, microbiology, algae, fungi, and fossils. This team published a controversial report which stated that they had found proof of life on Mars in these photos. Dr. Rudolf Schlid, who is said to be a Harvard-Smithsonian astrophysicist, wrote, quote, "We discovered Martian formations resembling metazoan fossils and observed hundreds of specimens which closely resemble algae and dimpled lichens attached to mudstones." End quote. The report that this team published has been controversial because of the fact that it was determined from photos rather than actual samples here on Earth, but at the end of the day, any kind of sign and any kind of possibility is rather exciting. Like I mentioned in the first one, hopefully the Perseverance rover will be able to head over to the Gale crater and get a closer look at what is going on down there. Maybe we're closer to finding solid proof of alien life than we once thought. In our number 4 spot today we have these Canadian fossils. In Kootenay National Park in Canada in 2018, paleontologists discovered something incredible. This discovery was of course a fossil, and it was carapaces that had been molted onto a long-gone ocean floor that once existed here on Earth. These carapaces belong to some sort of species that is entirely new to science. You see where I'm going with this? It is thought that these fossils came from the Cambrian period 540 million years ago. While it is unlikely these creatures were actually aliens, it seems almost alien that these completely unknown creatures once existed on our planet. And who knows, maybe it really is the fossil of an alien. I mean, I wasn't around 540 million years ago to tell you, so at this point, I'm not really sure. It is debated exactly how these creatures relate to animals we currently have living on this wonderful Earth, which just adds to the mysteries of this wonderful find. In our number 3 spot today we have lava tubes. As it turns out, lava tubes may just be where the alien life has been hiding all these years. Besides holding the keys to the answers of a planet's geological history, lava tubes may also host environmental conditions that are relatively stable, which is kind of shocking. This may mean that these lava tubes would be appealing to life forms of all sizes. If a planet like, let's say, Mars ever did host life at one point, it's entirely possible that these life forms may have moved and tried to find a safer place amongst the changing conditions and evolution of Mars. These life forms may have been seeking some kind of haven, and this is where the lava tubes come in. Pascal Lee, a planetary researcher at NASA's Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California, said, quote, "On Mars and other places, lava tubes have the potential to have made the difference between life and death," end quote. Lava tubes, wherever they are found, are scientifically exotic, and it's been said that a mission to another world that also studies these underground features as well as the surface of the planet is like getting 2 planets for the price of 1. Maybe our issue all along is that we've been searching on the planet when we really should be looking at what's going on inside. In our number 2 spot today we have the Sri Lanka fossils. In 2012, scientists from the United Kingdom explained that they had found algae-like fossils inside of meteorite fragments that landed in Sri Lanka. Not only could this potentially have been proof of the existence of alien life, but it also could give indications as to how life on this planet formed, as that truly is one of the mysteries we still don't really have answers to. There are a few theories as to how life began, and they include the theory that life spontaneously erupted from inorganic molecules somehow, that life came here on a comet or an asteroid, or that some sort of alien civilization directly sent an asteroid here that contained life. Although this last one is the least likely, it's the one I'm most hoping for. Anyway, this fossil discovery may be holding the keys to this mystery we've long awaited the answers to. In our number 1 spot today we have the Australia fossils. 3.5 billion years ago, Earth wasn't exactly a great place to live. That is no shade to the beautiful planet we call home, it was just a different time. There were a lot of volcanic eruptions, not a lot of oxygen, and a pretty high chance of getting hit by an asteroid. Despite all of this and this extreme environment, something happened that allowed life to form and evolve here. This has led scientists to believe that surely this has also happened on other planets. Right? Fossils found in Australia, which were dated back 3.5 billion years ago, are the earliest direct evidence of life on Earth. This alone is crazy and exciting, but the research done on these fossils showed that not all of these fossilized organisms were the same. Some were primitive photosynthesizers and others produced methane. This shows that not only was life forming at this time, but that it had an easy time doing so. Scientists can't be sure about how much earlier life could have been formed here, but if the conditions are right, it seems as though these fossils prove that it's not exactly difficult for it to happen, and that life in the universe should be pretty widespread. The organisms in the fossils probably wouldn't like life on Earth so much now, but it does show that life can form and thrive under conditions we would think of as unlivable.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Barrier Canyon pictographs. Located in the southwest, the Barrier Canyon is a remote area in Utah. There you will find amazing pictographs that date back to thousands of years ago. Here's the thing, people are like, bro, those pictures look an awful lot like aliens. Most of the figures displayed there are quite odd. They are around 8 feet tall and shaped like a human, but have no arms, legs, ears, or noses. They do, however, have big alien-like eyes. Some have been drawn with free-floating eyes, or wings, or with serpents around their hands or above their heads. Other paintings are of animals and humans, but the humans aren't drawn nearly as big as the 8-foot tall weird creatures. The paintings are said to have been done by mixing blood and clay and possibly urine as a binder. Upon analyzing them, they found hair from a paintbrush that dates back to 6750 BCE, meaning maybe people back then were in contact with these humanoid alien type creatures. I mean, they would have had to had a big impact on their life in order for them to have been painted. Moving on at number 9, we have the rock paintings. For years, archaeologists in Sharma, India have been baffled by these weird ancient rock paintings. The paintings are around 10,000 years old and they look like they depict aliens and UFOs. Archaeologist Junior Back said, and I quote, "The findings suggest that humans in prehistoric times may have seen or imagined beings from other planets. Some of the paintings show these weird alien-shaped figures with massive heads, whereas other drawings are of what appears to be UFO spaceships. In other pictures, these weird humanoid figures are wearing what appears to be spacesuits. In fact, locals in the village would worship the paintings and tell great stories about small people coming down from the sky in round-shaped flying objects, abducting people, and then never returning. So, were the prehistoric people just super creative, or were they actually greeted by these aliens? Moving on to number 8, we have Saint Wolfgang and the Devil. This painting was created in the 15th century by famous German Renaissance painter Michael Pacher. It was painted based on the legend about Saint Wolfgang tricking the devil into building a church. So yes, that green guy with the weird face on his ass is supposed to be the devil. But people are like, really? That's an alien. I mean, yes, I admit that this creature doesn't look like a traditional devil, but over the years the devil has been depicted in a number of different forms, including something like this. But no, a number of people strongly believe that it's not the devil he was in contact with, but it was aliens instead, and apparently aliens have faces on their bums. Moving on to number 7, we have the Crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, this one is wild. Buckle your seatbelts. So take a look at this painting from 1350. It was created by an unknown artist for the Decani Monastery. The artist signed his name Serge, but there's no historical records of anyone with such name. So right off the bat, people are like, okay, so who created this piece? Especially because in the top right and left hand corners of the piece there are 2 UFOs with passengers inside. In the right corner, the pilot in the UFO seems to be looking all the way back at the craft behind him. Now, I don't know about you, but no normal human being can do that with their neck unless they're an alien or an owl. On top of it all, this work would have had to been approved on the detail, or else the whole piece would have been repainted. So someone saw this and was like, yep, that's accurate, looks good, meaning aliens were present during Jesus' crucifixion. Also, they didn't have spacecrafts back then, or any flying things. But those 2 people are certainly flying in something, alright? So what's the deal? Well, one explanation is that those 2 UFO things are supposed to represent the sun and the moon, or 2 divine beings watching over. But a lot of people are just like, no, they're aliens. In our 6th spot today, we have the Madonna. Painted in the late 1400s, this is a beautiful painting of the Madonna with infant Jesus and St. John. But if you look in the background, there appears to be a weird spacecraft floating in the sky. In fact, it is emitting beams of light, and the man in the back with the dog is looking up at it with his mouth open like, what the heck is this? Like, he's in awe of it. Even the dog is looking up at it like, what the hell is going on here? This craft looks a lot like a UFO. I mean, come on, there's even light rays coming out of it, so what else could it be? Again, people argue saying that maybe it's an angel or some sort of holy entity looking down on her. But there's no wings or a body of an angel, and this wasn't the typical way to portray angels, so it seems quite odd and out of place to say the least. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Leonardo da Vinci's paintings. A lot of people think that Leonardo da Vinci was in contact with aliens and was trying to tell us through hiding secret messages in his paintings. First off, people thought that Leo was way ahead of his time. Like, he was drawing pictures of helicopters in 1493 before it was even a thing. He also talked about ships that could travel underwater, submarines. Like, he came up with a lot of modern day inventions somehow back then. So people were like, okay, he's either a time traveler or an alien, or he's in contact with aliens and they were telling him how to advance society. Now, here comes the freaky part. Someone mirrored and lightened his painting of St. John the Baptist, and it appears as if there's an alien face in there. It is truly quite freaky. It straight up looks like an alien from The Predator or something. Then you have his famous work of art, the Mona Lisa. Turns out if you do the exact same thing to this painting, you also see an alien's face. So, what do you think? Was Leo subtly trying to tell us something? If so, why would he make it so hard for us to find? Also, I want to know who went around like mirroring and lightening these images. Like, Were they purposely looking for a coded message? Should we be doing that to all paintings or what? Moving on, at number 4 we have the glorification of the Eucharist. This is another religious painting that might include signs of alien life. So in this painting from the 17th century we see God and Jesus looking out over God's kingdom. But what's weird is that there is this weird round object between the two with antennas sticking out of it. It looks a lot like Russia's Sputnik satellite. Now the sphere is the creation globe, like to represent Earth and the cosmos. But people argue that if that was so, then how come there's no stars? And how come it looks like it has almost a metallic reflection? And what about the antennas, okay? Some say that it's magic wands, but it can't be because they look like they retract, like antennas. I don't know about this one, okay? There's two theories. One, aliens provided them with such a device, or two, someone is a time traveler. I don't even know anymore. Coming in at number 3 we have no Chiri. This illustration is part of a UFO legend from the 1800s. The fact that back then they had stories talking about spacecrafts and extraterrestrials makes it seem like aliens are indeed real. This Japanese story talked about a sailor finding a weird floating craft in the ocean, which is what this picture depicts. According to the story, the craft was an object made from steel and glass, and was big enough to fit a small human inside. On top of that, they said inside of the craft was a small script that they couldn't decipher. Probably because it was like in an alien language, I don't know. But anyways, what are the odds that this story perfectly describes UFOs and drew them just like we picture them nowadays? In our second spot, we have the Paleolithic rock painting. This for sure is a painting of a UFO spaceship and no one can tell me differently. Like there's no way this isn't. Like come on, as a kid, that's how I drew UFOs. What else is it meant to be if it's not an alien spacecraft? Anyways, this painting was found deep inside of a cave in Neo, France. It's dated back to 13,000 BC, which is insane because obviously they didn't have any flying devices back then, so what is this a picture of? Maybe they really did come across a UFO. And in our number 1 spot today we have Dracula's UFO. Not gonna lie, this is another really freaking weird one. This is a 16th century painting of Dracula's castle, like the real life Dracula, aka Vlad the Impaler. Well, hovering right above the castle in the sky is what looks like a UFO spacecraft. Not only that, but in 2014 a tourist photographed a very similar UFO right above a building in the same area. Could it be that Vlad was actually an alien? Like what if aliens need to feed off of humans to stay alive and that's why Vlad did what he did? Because in reality, he was an alien, not a vampire. I don't know man, this is all too weird.